Mark, what's
Hey,
going on?
Paul. Trying to make heads or tails of this. What a mystery. This was like Hercule Poirot, but with a Jack the Ripper twist. This is
Exactly.
crazy.
And we go from no absolute last week to three absolutes this week, and it's like it's absolute overload. Um,
In a good way.
that would be a great name for a comic, absolute overload.
Absolute overload.
Yeah.
Writ-
But
Written by Todd McFarlane, illustrated by Rob Liefeld.
there you go. one issue a year.
Yeah, extreme.
Exactly. We'll get to the three absolute books right after this. Before we go any farther, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so we're alerted whenever we upload new content. And don't forget to leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. So we had count them, three absolute issues this week. We had what I think is other than the Absolute Batman Annual, which I think this is the second absolute special that they've done. First was that Absolute Evil / Absolute Justice, and then this
Yeah,
one.
I guess you could count the free comic book day as
Oh yeah,
well.
yep,
I,
yep,
I would.
yeah, yep, absolutely. Get it, absolutely.
We say that an awful lot on the show, but it's very appropriate.
Exactly.
It's very appropriate. It's absolutely
It is
appropriate.
absolute. So this is the absolute Arkham.
Oh, look
Um,
at you with the little speculator chase cover there. Look, tell everybody what you're showing off there.
so this is the one that apparently everyone is looking to get. I happen to have I order from I have a local comic shop that I go to, and then I also order through the mail once, and I get out once a month. And through the mail, I got the A cover. So I asked them long before this was a speculator thing. I asked them to give me the B cover at the local comic shop.
Now, did you
Um,
know what was on the cover? What picture was on it when you requested the B cover? You
I
just requested the B
I did
cover.
not just requested the B cover.
Now, after having it in your hand, do you know who was on the cover?
I believe this is actually Jack Grimm.
You think that's Jack Grimm?
Yeah, who do you think it is?
Dude, I assumed it was Zatanna and just a really bad drawing because I saw the top hat. And
Yeah,
that's wrong because someone else told me, oh, it's Toy Maker.
I
So
don't know.
that's where the speculation is coming from is Toy Maker. But
Could
that
be.
makes
I
no
mean,
sense. It makes less than 0 cents.
yeah, I went with Jack Grimm because he's the main character in this throughout this book. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
I,
it
I
could
don't
be.
know.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Zatanna again because of the top hat. The hair kind of, I guess, in some ways does kind of indicate that it might be a female. I guess
I
the more
thought
you
it was
look
just
at
a
it.
really bad drawing of Zatanna, not drawing her like she was. Well, stay with me here because the design is a little bit too different to not have any of like the recognizable, like the fishnets or the muzzle. Anything we've seen her drawn with previously. You've had some consistency to her outfit. So I
Yep.
thought it was just a bad Zatanna drawing, but someone told me no, that's Toy Maker. I'm like, well, that makes. I was on my Tuesday show, so I couldn't talk spoilers. I'm like, that makes no
Right.
sense. I've
Yeah.
read the book. That's stupid.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, Toy Maker has not been hinted at anything at any point anywhere. Um,
What was it? It's in something. Wait, wasn't Toy Maker in something? Like, yeah. Batman pulled up, lit his building on fire, and said, "Shut it down," and left. Was that in this book?
mm,
I read something this week where Batman pulled up on somebody. No, that was no Superman. Superman did that.
right. Right.
We'll
But
get to that in this
not Toy
video.
Man. Not Toy Maker. Toy Man.
Toy Man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You get it.
Okay.
Jervis.
Yeah.
Someone
Shot.
said that was
Some
Shaq.
shot or whatever. Right. The guy's
Shaq.
last name is. Yeah.
Talk.
He was in. Yeah. He was in Superman this week.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing. So Toy Maker is the one that built the rocket ship, right? And Superman
Right.
Batman.
Right.
The little whiz kid genius. I don't know what this cover is, but it's a hot speculator cover. If y'all see it on the shelf, grab it and sell it
Yeah.
immediately.
Apparently, it's hot because no one knows what the hell it is.
Nobody. It's the mystery.
Exactly. It's done by Javier Fernandez. So for all we know, it could have to do with the Martian Manhunter um, universe. Who
Oh,
knows?
that's the same guy doing the
Yeah. Yep.
That's pretty
Anyway,
cool.
this is the Arc M special, so it's Absolute Batman Arc M special. For those of you who don't know, the Arcs are basically these prisons, for lack of a better term, that are spread throughout the world. The one that is in Gotham is called Arc M, kind of a play on Arkham, and we'll learn why as we tell you about what's going on in the story, because we get a history of exactly what the Arc M is.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what this issue serves as. It's
Right.
almost like an episode of the Twilight Zone, or
Mhm.
Tales from the Crypt is more apt, in my opinion. But it starts out back in the day with these are the writings of Dr. Amadeus Arkham, which is already kind of like a twist because we've gone this far over a year in the Absolute universe with this new Absolute style of Arkham. I never assumed that there was ever an actual Arkham Asylum in this universe. And right at the beginning, we're told otherwise. And we go back years in the past to Dr. Amadeus Arkham, telling the story of how he founded the Arkham Asylum, the one that we all know from the regular Batman comics. And it goes through this book, just kind of talking about his father. Like you kind of get a little bit of his prestige first, like at banquet, passing a check, holding up a book about Jack the Ripper that he wrote.
Yeah, hold on about Jack the Ripper. Go ahead. Yep.
But then we cut to 1945, where we're at the apparent end of Arkham's life, where he's getting out of the asylum business. And a man walks in, and I think this might be an error inside this book, but a man walks in smiling about how he's looking like it's the guy that's about to buy the Arkham Asylum from Amadeus Arkham, and he's happy to do it. And they're sitting there looking at a photo on the wall, and he starts reminiscing of the past at this point.
Right, because the picture on the wall is his mother.
Yeah, and that's where we flash back to the last night on Earth with his mother, which this gets dark and twisted right at the beginning. We cut back to when Amadeus is a young boy playing on the floor with his sibling, playing with trains while the mom watches out the window for her husband to return from war. And finally, she sees the soldier walking through the rain, and she gets excited. She runs downstairs, opens the front door, and lo and behold, a Union soldier's there that's not her husband, but he delivers a letter that says, "We'll explain everything." So obviously, he died in the Civil War, it seems like. And she opens the letter, reads it, cries, falls over. He goes to catch her. She comes up with his pistol and blasts them. And then, in a fit of insanity, turns around, blasts one of the kids, blasts the other kids, points the gun at Amadeus, pauses for half a second, then turns it on herself. And he's left there in a pool of blood with all that was left of his family, leaving him orphaned and without siblings. So it was at that point in his life that he decided he wanted to devote his life to figuring out what would cause somebody to do this. She had this snap of insanity, and how does that happen? And that's where he's kind of just like he came up in the orphan system. He got some schooling, and he started immediately saving up money and designing Arkham Asylum.
Exactly. And we see some of the some of the characters that he has helped throughout his years at Arkham Asylum. Some of them look kind of familiar at some point, but they all kind of look very very roguish, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, there's somebody who looks like he could be Victor Zsasz,
Mhm.
like with scars all over him. Just another person with like a torn up half of their face, and he was kind of happy having this influx of people coming in and all that. But then there's just one patient, this one that he wasn't happy to have, this one that just had this twisted grin that was laughing all the time and couldn't be rehabilitated, didn't want help, only wanted to sow chaos. You could say just wanted to watch the world burn.
You could say that. You just did, actually.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And so it starts hinting at the Jokers in the asylum, like the more of like what we would think of a traditional Joker. And as he's walking the halls, he's going through he's walking the halls, and he's showing the man who wants to buy the asylum all the stuff, and they're talking a little bit more, kind of meandering through and talking about his family, if he ever had kids and stuff. And that reminds him of a new story. And he's like, "Well, I never did directly, but there was this one instance." And he gets to another story in 1885.
Hey, hello. How you doing?
Good.
That's good. Hey, monkey.
Now this is where stuff gets really wild, Paul. In 1885, on his front steps, a knock at the door. When he opens it, there's a young child covered head to toe in blood, ragtag clothes. They have no clue what happened to the child, how it got there. but he just knew he wanted to help this kid because it reminded him of himself in that moment where he was left. So he takes the kid in, starts showing him the ropes, cleans him up, feeds him, takes him to work with him, shows him what he does, and the kid kind of looks up to him for this, and you start seeing these patients as people in need and help, and he starts studying how to fix them and how to do this and that. And along the time, you had some breakouts by this Joker character, and one time he even put the knife to the little kid's head, knowing that he couldn't kill him because the guards would just kill him if he did. And it goes from bad to worse at this point.
Yeah. We will come to later find out that the reason why he was covered in blood when he showed up at the door, maybe because he had just eaten.
Ew. Very valid point. I wonder if you had that point. Yeah, that's a good question. But in the midst of all this, the transaction, we pop back to the more modern time with the transactional conversation happening. And the purchaser says, well, there's more to this place, and don't think I haven't looked into you, and being that I want to spend all this money. And it wasn't in the news, but the darkest days of this wasn't him breaking out and holding a knife to that kid's head. It was when all the inmates broke out. And he tells a story about how this Joker character broke out, let all the other inmates out, and dug a tunnel, and they went fleeing into Gotham. And he knew Amadeus right where that he was going. So he ran home to go check on the kid. And apparently the Joker character had came and sold the kid out of the house, blood left there. He knew that he was coming to hurt Amadeus, to get that kid he couldn't kill sooner. And it broke him. He didn't want anything else to do with Asylum, just ran it at nuts and bolts, bare minimum, just to get by. Modern facilities and things kind of sent patients elsewhere. So they just kind of had nuts and bolts. And Amadeus kind of obsessed over this. He has like the famous like yarn walls with all the violence and crime that happened in Gotham from these inmates getting out, which they never publicized, warned anybody or anything like that. And then eventually, this is where it gets super dark.
Yeah, he goes into a part of the house that he has rarely ever goes into. It's where the furnace is. It's the basement and everything. And he's starting to talk and everything, and he's having this internal dialogue with himself. He finds a teddy bear that he ends up throwing into the furnace. He finds some other things, and he's like, he basically says, he's trying to basically kill the house, but the house won't die. And that's when he comes to realize that, or he tells us that it was the little boy who basically would let everybody out.
Yeah. So what happened is they go down to the furnace. He doesn't go down here because this is the place where the breakout happened, where all the inmates went down and tunneled out of the wall of the furnace. So when they go down to inspect this last part of the asylum, the buyer points out to me, says, if that's where they tunneled out, why is there a patch of wall over there also that's been tunneled up? And he whispers something in his ear and he leaves. So Amadeus freaks out and crowbars that other part of the wall because he's never been down here. He's never even noticed that. He couldn't live with himself. And when he opens up the wall, what he finds is not just that teddy bear, which was his adopted son's, but he finds a corpse of the inmate who all of this was assumed to be. The Joker character who they thought did all this, it wasn't him. It was the little boy the whole time that was under his wing. He let all the inmates out. He killed that inmate that held that knife to him, and he stuffed him in the wall, left him there. And not only that, when that little boy got older, he came back, offered to buy the asylum, and whispered the truth in Amadeus's ear before he left. And Amadeus broke down and burnt the entire thing down to ashes. And it's revealed while it's burning that the purchaser is none other than the Smiling Man himself, who, again, this is a mess up. This is an absolute mess up because the whole gimmick with the Joker is he's called that because he never smiles.
Right, exactly.
Jack Grimm never smiles.
Right.
He only smiles. So that's kind of like an inconsistency in this book with the universe, I thought it would point out. But that was the whole trick. He broke the guy that helped him. And to Paul's point, when that little boy showed up covered in blood, he clearly just killed someone. Or if he's at the point yet where he has to feed like we saw in the last issue of Batman, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Joker's head in that panel looks like it belongs more in the Killing Joke than it does here. Like the little, like wearing a Hawaiian shirt and the big hat.
Yeah. And when he showed up in the beginning of the book and knocked on Amadeus's door, hey, good to see you. And they started the conversation. He's smiling then too. Jack Grimm never smiles. That's the whole gimmick with this guy. So it's weird that he's smiling here.
Right.
So we fast forward to modern day, like full modern day now. and you see Jack Grimace going over old papers, kind of reminiscing. He's the one reading the diary of Amadeus while Batman's storming the castle, fighting guards and stuff. And he's watching on the security video, and he doesn't care at all. He's like sizing him up. He doesn't see him as a threat one bit. And he has someone talking to him saying like, "Hey, let me go handle this. Let me go take." He's like, "Nah, you'll get your chance. I'll let you loose when the time comes, my Deathstroke." So we have Slade, who's been kind of mysticized so far. One of the few major players that Agent Alfred actually has confirmed to be real, a threat, and he's been trying to track in all of this stuff. So we got the first look at him. We got a twisted addition to the backstory of the Joker, embedded with the origin of Arkham Asylum. It was a great issue.
It was. And you and I were talking beforehand. It's like there is, the two special one-offs or whatever, if you count Absolute Evil and you count this, have not just been, hey, we're trying to get another $6 out of you, whatever. They really have added to either the lore or the history or had something major happen, like, okay, you know what, Absolute Hawkman just killed Absolute Green Arrow. Yeah. Or have introduced a major character like Luthor in the Absolute Evil, and then Deathstroke here. As well as, again, the history of Arkham and exactly how it came to be, the Arkham. So,
yeah, he basically burnt down the asylum, and then he started opening his own.
Yep, exactly. But that was just one of 3 Absolute issues this week. We also have Absolute Green Lantern. It has to deal with
the Gold Man. He just got done shooting Joe Mullins twice and left her for dead standing over an apartment when we last saw her.
Yes. But we see, again, we see these black panels that basically there are someone talking, and we see basically a person that's talking to an individual person and telling them something about who they are. And so we have this one that happens to be Todd Rice. You are unknown within the spectrum of light.
You have to be without fear. Mogo has noticed you, but they all start like this. These 4 panels and the little ring and stuff. But in this one, you kind of get a little twist on that. That ring opens up, it's a hatch. And clearly Todd Rice is in some kind of container and somebody's yelling down to him, "You okay? I thought I heard a voice." And he's being held in a big container. And this guy is pretty much in a science suit, putting a big contraption on top of it, about to pour something on top of him. And we don't know what at this point.
Other than we think it's the black ooze that kind of got to Hal at the beginning of this story. So
yeah, the camera pans out and you see the big truck with hazardous materials. You see Hector Hammond's watching from afar, and they're all the black hand substance that they siphoned off from that event they have, and they're about to pour it on poor Todd Rice in an attempt to get a reaction to see what they can do with harnessing some of these questionable forces. Hector Hammond, he's a psychopath.
He really is.
He ain't got a big head yet, though.
He does not.
It's funny. He's very big-headed, just not physically.
Right, exactly, right. But then before we actually see all the black U's go in there, we flash back to where we ended the last issue, which is Jo Mullein lying on her floor, having been shot twice by Goldface, who, every villain, after they do something dastardly, whatever, they have to suddenly do this big monologue.
Yeah, I assume they write it ahead of time. It'd be shame not to say it. You put in all that work. Yeah,
exactly. I've been working about this for days.
Literally standing over with his hands behind his back, talking smack.
Yeah,
and she's grunting and bleeding out, and he's kind of like, he's kind of standing up. What was he asking for? Tell me where the Green Lantern went. He's wanting to get a hold of the power source, but she hits him in the nuts, as happens often. And it was funny. She was bloody from
the golden nuggets.
And when she hits him in the golden nugget, he sees blood on him, not realizing it just transferred from her. And he thought that she did some real damage. And he freaks out for a second. He's like, oh, thank God, that's not my blood. I thought that was pretty funny. But while he's sitting there rubbing the nuggets, she's crawling into the kitchen where she can muster enough strength to close the door and lock herself in, melts the door handle. He's trying to get to her, talking smack, X, Y, and Z. She's trying to use some pliers to get the bullets out of her because they're gold and they're holding her back.
Right.
And it's an intense scene. Well illustrated, really well illustrated. Like, I was wincing, like, ooh. But he's beating on the door. She's reaching for it. It's kind of one of those high tense moments. He slams open the door, and you see the bullets tink on the ground. and she's going like full on Super Saiyan, glowing, floating, and she says, "You know what isn't gold? These." And she uses her abilities to throw the pliers at him instead of trying to apply the green to him, and they just pop his head like a nugget and plant inside of his face. It was wicked.
Yeah, it really was. And just almost as soon as it's basically over, we then get we see um, Simon Baz and Adrian
His
Chase show
partner.
up. Oh, and his partner, right? His partner show up. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they show
Um,
up there thinking that they're coming to help Agent Chase and find this bloody woman in here, glowing green, and this dead guy with pliers. So they draw down on her, not knowing what's going on. She throws a table at him, slams him against the wall. Few words go back and forth. Wait, you're here to help Chase. You're here to help Chase. We're here to help Chase. About that time, Chase walks in.
right, that's when Chase walks in.
Yeah, of course, it
Very,
wasn't
very,
Senior. Not
very
before,
kind of
not before he got hit by the table.
right, very unfazed that there is a dead gold man with a plier in his head, and Hal
It's all
Jordan
part of
laying
the job.
exactly. It really is. Um, and not only that, but by when the plier goes into his head, he actually almost starts to melt as well. So he kind of, by the time you get to the end, you still see the plier, but you see he's basically his whole head has just started to melt. So
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was just like the artist drawing his head had exploded out, but it's definitely looked like it's melting.
mm,
Because that's just gold paint from some of the dialogue they said. But we find out that Simon Baz's partner is almost like a spirit walker, that she can do like some stuff on the medium level, and
right,
she attempts to dial into the mind of this dead body, and she sees who hired him, who he is, and they have an idea. And as soon as they say Hector Hammond sent him, Chase is like, "Oh, fiddlesticks, we got to go then. That's not good."
right. And then we've switched to Hector Hammond, who is basically having a little dialogue of his own, talking about things. He has a
Back to the
uh,
experiment on Todd.
exactly, yeah, he's sparing on Todd, and we get on the last page. Basically, we see what Todd has become.
Yeah, what
You may know
Hector
him
did
better.
to the guy.
You may know him better as Obsidian in the main universe.
Yeah, they were checking his
And
vitals and
yeah,
stuff.
they actually do use the word Obsidian as well in this
Yeah.
issue as well. So
Yeah, they said that we don't know what happened. We're not getting any vital readings. It looks like the stuff we put on him has become just a hard, solid encasing of obsidian around him. We can tell he's in there somewhere, but we don't know the state of him. And Hector's very pleased with the outcome.
mhm.
Very pleased.
So this is
So we have
exactly
absolute
exactly what I
affinity.
needed. Exactly,
Yeah.
lots of new characters.
Giant,
Um,
monstrous looking contraption. Very cool.
Then we have Absolute Superman number 15. A new story starts here. It tells you right on the cover. A new story
Right
arc.
there. I would believe him.
I would. We go to Central Kansas. If you recall, the battle for Kansas ended at the end of the last issue. Superman captured Ra's al Ghul. He is in a Pakistani prison. I think that's the country. He's in Pakistan or Afghanistan, one of those two. He's in a prison. Um, and his mother passed away in the nursing home at the end of the last issue. However, she left him a new costume because if you recall, Saul at the end of in the last issue as well also ended up being deceased because he used his last bit of AI to basically delete himself so that Brainiac could not use him against humanity. And so we have Superman back on the farm, helping to do what he could to help keep the farm going. We see him, flying around with his new costume, much more blue than black. But then we also see we see basically him talking to some of the people in the town. He flies by and he basically Lana Lang has some things to say to him. But then he goes and he meets up with that Winslow Shot that we talked about before, the Toy Man. And he basically goes to the Toy Man and he tells the Toy Man, "Hey, look, whatever you were doing, you need to stop now. He's burning his place. He's burning his place to the ground." He said, "People like you atop your mountain of wealth, you live your life so high in the clouds, so far above everyone else. You haven't always been touchable. I want to tell you, your friends, that those days are over." And so he burns basically Winslow Shots, the Toyman's secret lair or workshop or whatever you want to call it, basically burns it to the ground. Um, and he basically tells them to change your ways, the Winslow Shop, because I'll be watching. Then we go out to the Nevada desert. and he to where he had been for a while, and they find Brainiac's lab that was in the Nevada desert. John Kent finds what's left of Brainiac's lab, but there isn't much there for him to basically take control of, and he basically just kind of, oh look, hi, hi Emma,
Hi.
hello.
Hey.
It's very dangerous to leave me in charge of recapping the story, by the way.
I think you did a good job.
Hi.
Then we go to Pakistan and we see Superman basically talking to Ra's al Ghul, something that will happen repeatedly in this issue, and he basically leaves him a book of prayer that has been written by the people of Smallville, basically leaving him some prayers, and he basically says, you know what, I'm going to take that book and I'm going to, do whatever I want with it, and he says he's going to use it in the toilet and everything and do what he needs to do, but Clark doesn't give it to him. He leaves it just outside of his reach, outside of the jail cell.
He does.
Why does he do that?
Because he doesn't want him to face it, and he has better ideas for it. But he's not going to do that today because he has other stuff to do. When we cut to him just doing Superman stuff at this point, he talks about how he's just flying around and he finds these wildfires and he doesn't know what to do with it. So he just breathes the fire in, holds it, and travels across country. He swallowed the wildfire and he went and deposited it in Kansas where they were planning a controlled burn. And I thought it was cool because I was like, wait, you swallowed the fire? You just like held it? And then you took it? Like, I didn't know. Yeah, like I didn't know what else to do with it. It's like I get that, but you swallowed the fire? Yeah. I just put it over there though. It's over there now. Like it didn't register with him how incredible the feat was. Thought that was cool.
Yeah. So he has some, and as he's sitting there, he hears something as he's talking to Lois. He hears something, and it's funny, like which way is Peoria? And so he's like, yeah.
Don't ask Paul to point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. That way. And so he takes off to do whatever he has to do. We see him back on the farm. Lana is there, talking to him and
kind of give him the old, hey, you're doing great. Take care of yourself. Mom, Paul wants you to take care of yourself. He's like, the voices are so much. I don't know how to organize it all. I just want to help everybody. Oh my God. And he takes off on her.
Mm-hmm. Right. He takes off again to help somebody else. He goes back to see Ra's al Ghul again, and we find out what he is now doing with those book of prayers and everything.
Yeah,
he's sitting there reading them to Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, and I noticed at this point, Raz doesn't look as good as he did previously without being disconnected from the Lazarus pit, like you mentioned earlier. It actually is taking a major physical toll on him. I was wondering how these just regular old people in a regular old cell is going to be able to hold Ra's al Ghul, because we saw him like jacked up fighting Superman, but that's because he was jacked up on Lazarus and everything, but he doesn't have it now. His eyes are starting to sink in a little bit and whatever. And he's angry from hearing all these prayers, but this is the part that broke my heart right here, because we keep cutting back and forth to him just doing Superman stuff, him reading to Raz, hoping that there's a little bit of goodness hiding in there somewhere, but it cuts to Clark saying that he was listening again, and he heard a kid who had cancer just wishing that they didn't die alone in the hospital. And Clark went and got that little kid, flew that kid out into the mountain range and held that kid outside in the light of the sun, staring over nature until that kid passed away. So that kid was granted his final wish. And that shot of Superman holding the kid and his cape flowing in the mountain range and the kid just pointing out, observing and talking with him, that absolutely crushed me reading this. That's when this rabbit hole here, like the last page of the last issue with him going to check on his mom and being too late. That little moment in here that's just randomly a panel in the middle of it. That's why Jason Aaron is such a damn good writer for Superman, because it's the balance of this godlike character. Yes, he's on his farm working on a tractor, but one page later, he's fighting somebody like Ra's al Ghul, and then one page later, he's holding, he's holding a kid in his arms who's passing away in his arms just to grant the last wish. Like that's Superman in a nutshell. Everything else that's wild and changed and different about this book, it's none of that defines it. It's these little bitty moments like this that absolutely nail the character right in the bullseye.
Absolutely. It's the man part of Superman.
Yeah, you said that, and this really just demonstrates it perfectly in here.
Yeah. But as much as he's being nice to the kid, he knows that reading those poems are killing Ra's al Ghul. So
Yeah.
he's gonna keep doing it.
And we'll keep cutting back. Do you notice how much cool cape work is in this book? Because cutting back to one thing, him stopping the dam, and you see him up against the dam. And there's always that thing like, how can he hold a building? Because the point of contact is so small. Well, in this, they kind of address that. Holding the bridge up, the cape is spread out like webbing. Holding the dam up, it's spread out like webbing. Get all kinds of cool stuff. We also get a shot inside of his barn, which is covered in the red crystals from the Redlands. So it looks like his fortress is naturally forming inside of his barn, possibly. But wild.
Right. And so we see him one more time talking to Ra's al Ghul and everything. And
he looks anorexic at this point.
Exactly. And we actually see that he finally had broken Ra's al Ghul, because Ra's al Ghul just starts to repeat the prayer.
Yeah, brainwashing, check.
Right, exactly. But as soon as that happens, he basically hears something in this because he can't stop all the sounds, and so he goes and he flies off, and we see the next appearance of Absolute Hawkman.
Was waiting for him in the sky. They cross paths. What the hell do you think you're doing? So we don't know if he was sent by the Legion or the Absolute Justice League, which is all the villains. And we don't know if he was sent by Lex Luthor. We don't know. I'm assuming he was sent by the Absolute Justice League, aka the villains. But man, you notice how his outfit looks like Black Hawk. He's like wearing Black Hawk jacket.
Yeah,
I love that.
And then we get that final page that kind of ties back into the end of Absolute Evil as well, where Brainiac basically, Brainiac with the dome, without the top of his head, basically has found the home of Lex Luthor in the Absolute Universe, and so he
gets a call from Talia saying, "Yo, Brainy, where are you? Things are a mess over here. I really need your help." He's like, "Yeah, no thanks." "What do you mean no thanks? You work for us." "Yeah, no, I don't. I got other stuff. Enjoy your life. I wish you the best. I'm out." And cuts her off and is walking up on Luthor's barn.
Right.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. And the title of the story is The Never Ending Begins. So great name for a story.
I just immediately thought of Dustin and Susie Q.
Sing it, Mark. Sing it.
No.
Okay. But yeah, 3 really solid stories again. DC is starting 2026 off the same way that they ended 2025. Just knocking it out of the park.
It's crazy how good these books are consistently, man.
Right. Next up, I believe, is Absolute Batman 16, which is the second part of the
crossover with Wonder Woman.
Crossover with Wonder Woman, yeah.
Zatanna will be in that one as well.
I believe so. Yep.
And then Poison Ivy's coming after that.
Correct. Yeah. So we got lots.
I guess we didn't really touch on that, but there's a little tease about the coming of Poison Ivy in the Arkham. There's one panel before Joker said, "I'll let you out soon." Deathstroke. He looks at some of his other options, and there's the room with all the vines coming out, and I think the room with all the clay, like Clayface coming out or something. There's like 2 little rogue Easter eggs in there, but Ivy's coming.
He definitely is. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Don't forget to leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. But that's going to be it. I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you're now living Search 2815.